Talindra adjusted her sleek, black exosuit, her reflective goggles scanning the dusty holographic feed in front of her. The disembodied voice of Commander Zygo barked instructions, dripping with disdain. "Eliminate the human known as Dave Grimes," he ordered. "He has disrupted galactic order for the last time." She frowned. The dossier was disappointingly vague. This Earthling had apparently caused chaos with something called viral memes, a term she found nonsensical. Still, orders were orders. Her elite assassin reputation demanded precision, even if the mission felt beneath her. "Let me guess," she said dryly. "Another human warmonger? A criminal genius?" "No," Zygo growled. "He made this." The hologram projected a looping image of a human tripping on a banana peel, accompanied by a distorted screeching sound and a bizarre caption, asterisk. "Slippy McSlipface, destroyer of dignity." Asterisk. The image pulsed in a hypnotic cycle, and Talindra blinked in disbelief. "This?" she asked, her voice strained with incredulity. "It destabilized an entire planetary council," Zygrel hissed. "The High Chieftain of Korvax declared a holy war over being compared to Slippy. Do not underestimate this human's capacity for chaos." Talindra rolled her eyes, muttering, "Eliminate the meme lord." "Got it." The descent to Earth was swift and silent, her ship cloaked as she landed near a quaint suburban neighborhood. The air smelled faintly of grass and something distinctly fried. She approached the modest house with its peeling paint and overgrown lawn, her plasma dagger humming with lethal intent. Inside, Dave Grimes was mid-battle with his smart fridge. "I don't need a quinoa recipe," he shouted, jabbing at the unresponsive screen. "Just tell me if the milk's still good." The fridge beeped indignantly, declaring, asterisk. "Milk status, expired." Asterisk. Dave groaned. "Expired like my love life." Unaware of the extraterrestrial assassin outside, he poured the questionable milk into his cereal and took a bite. His face contorted in horror as he spat the mouthful back into the bowl. "Okay, fridge, you win this round." Talindra slipped through the back door, her dagger poised. She stepped into the kitchen just as Dave turned around, spoon in hand. "Oh, hi," he said casually, his eyes flicking to her suit. Comic-Con's not until next month." She froze. Her training hadn't prepared her for this response. "Dave Grimes," she intoned, recovering her composure. "You are a threat to galactic stability. Prepare to—" "Wait, hold up," Dave interrupted, pointing at her suit. "Is that real leather? It looks uncomfortable. And where are your pockets? How do you carry snacks?" Talindra blinked, her dagger wavering. "Snacks? Yeah, assassin work's gotta be hungry business. Protein bars? Trail mix? Nothing?" Her cold, calculated demeanor cracked slightly. "I do not require snacks." Dave shrugged, returning to his cereal. "Suit yourself, cosplay lady." Frustrated, Talindra raised her dagger, ready to strike. But just as she lunged, Dave sneezed, loudly and unexpectedly. The sneeze triggered a holographic projection from a small device on his wrist. A massive, glowing image of Talindra herself appeared, tripping over a banana peel in slow motion. Talindra stumbled back, horrified. What is this?" "Oh, that?" Dave said, grinning sheepishly. "I call it the meme beam. It kinda does that sometimes." Her communicator buzzed violently. She glanced down to see a flood of messages from her home planet. The image of her tripping had already gone viral, captioned with alien symbols translating to, asterisk. "Assassin fails at first step." Asterisk. Talindra's cheeks flushed with an emotion she rarely experienced, embarrassment. "This cannot be happening," she muttered. Dave leaned against the counter, amused. "You okay there? You look like you've seen a ghost. Or, your own embarrassing gif." Her dagger lowered slightly as she stared at him. This man, this baffling, infuriating human, was supposed to be a threat? He didn't even seem capable of keeping his kitchen in order, let alone destabilizing a galaxy. You are insufferable, she managed, glaring at him. Thanks, Dave replied, tipping his bowl of cereal toward her. Milk's expired, by the way. Want some? Talindra's plasma dagger hummed softly, but her grip wavered as she stared at Dave. He leaned casually against the counter, oblivious to the galaxy-wide chaos his ridiculous behavior had sparked. The projection of her banana peel slip still lingered in the air, looping on repeat, each cycle chipping away at her composure. So, Dave said, slurping cereal. You're here to kill me, huh? That's what this is about. Yes, she replied sharply, but her voice lacked the conviction she intended. Dave raised an eyebrow, gesturing to the glowing image. Because of that? I mean, it's funny, sure, but death-worthy? Bit of an overreaction, don't you think? You wouldn't understand, she snapped, trying to regain her focus. Your existence has destabilized intergalactic order. You've caused countless uprisings with your memes. Memes? Dave repeated, chuckling. That's what all this is about. Lady, you've gotta chill. Memes are just harmless jokes. Harmless? Talindra barked, stepping closer. The Supreme Chancellor of Mycor declared war after being compared to a space potato. Entire economies have collapsed because of your holographic nonsense. Harmless doesn't destroy civilizations. Dave smirked. Sounds like your civilizations need a sense of humor. Talindra stared at him, her dagger faltering. You mock what you don't understand. Humor is irrelevant. It has no purpose, no efficiency. It is fun, Dave interrupted. It's fun. And if you don't get that, then maybe your galaxy's the problem, not me. Her lips tightened into a thin line, but she didn't respond. Instead, she stepped back, scanning him with her wrist communicator. The readings were maddeningly ordinary, no latent powers, no advanced technology beyond his strange meme-generating device. Yet, every instinct told her this man was more dangerous than any warlord or weapon she'd encountered. The communicator buzzed with an incoming call. Talindra hesitated, then accepted it. Talindra, Commander Zygrel's voice boomed, laced with impatience. Report. She stiffened. The target is secured. Good. Eliminate him immediately. The High Council demands his eradication before the next cycle. Her gaze shifted to Dave, who was now attempting to clean up his spilled milk with a dish towel. He accidentally knocked over a stack of plates, cursing under his breath as they clattered to the floor. Elimination may not be strategically advisable, she found herself saying, surprising even herself. What are you talking about? Zygrel growled. This human is a menace. End him. Talindra muted the call, her mind racing. For reasons she couldn't fully explain, the idea of killing Dave now felt wrong. He was absurd, yes, but there was something about his carefree defiance that intrigued her. For someone so profoundly ordinary, he had a way of cutting through her rigid logic like a plasma blade through butter. What's the hold-up? Dave asked, snapping her out of her thoughts. Your boss yelling at you to finish the job? She didn't answer, instead deactivating her dagger and clipping it to her belt. Whoa, Dave said, holding up his hands in mock surrender. Does this mean we're cool now? No more stabby-stabby? Talindra exhaled sharply. This doesn't mean you're safe. It means I need more information before I decide your fate. Oh, sure, Dave said, smirking. Take your time. I'm in no rush to be vaporized. She shot him a withering glare. You will answer my questions. Fire away. What exactly is that device? She asked, pointing to the wristband that had projected the banana peel hologram. Oh, this? Dave said, tapping it. Just something I tinkered with in my spare time. It picks up on subconscious stuff, thoughts, feelings, random ideas, and spits them out as memes. Didn't think it'd actually work, but well... He gestured to the still looping projection of her fall. Talindra frowned. You created a machine to generate chaos? Not chaos. Memes, he corrected. It's supposed to make people laugh. You know, lighten the mood, break the ice. She stared at him, her mind struggling to reconcile the sheer idiocy of his explanation with the undeniable impact his invention had caused. On her home planet, humor was considered a primitive distraction, a sign of weakness. Yet here was this human, using it as a weapon without even realizing it. "Your species," she muttered, half to herself. "You thrive on disorder. We call it creativity," Dave said. "Maybe your galaxy could use a little of that." Talindra didn't reply. Instead, she turned away, her thoughts a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. For the first time in her career, she wasn't sure if she could complete her mission. Dave watched her, sensing her hesitation. "So, what happens now? You sticking around for dinner? Because I make a mean mac and cheese." Talindra groaned, pinching the bridge of her nose. "I should have killed you the moment I saw you." "Yeah, but you didn't," Dave said, grinning. "And now you're stuck with me. Lucky you." She didn't answer, but for the first time, the corners of her mouth twitched upward in the faintest hint of a smile. Talindra sat on the edge of Dave's couch, the rigid lines of her posture betraying her discomfort. The room, cluttered with random human artifacts, pizza boxes, mismatched socks, and an inexplicably large rubber chicken, felt like the embodiment of everything she despised about Earth. Yet here she was, still unable to carry out her mission. Dave plopped onto the couch beside her, holding a bowl of popcorn. "So, what's the deal with your boss? He seemed pretty ticked off." Talindra shot him a sidelong glance. "Commander Zygrel doesn't appreciate failure. He's intensely serious." Dave laughed. "Figures. Let me guess. He's the kind of guy who sends his food back if it's not plated symmetrically." Her lips twitched, and she quickly looked away. "You're insufferable." "True," Dave admitted, tossing a popcorn kernel into his mouth. "But you're still here, so maybe I'm growing on you." She exhaled sharply, standing up. "Don't flatter yourself, human. My hesitation is purely strategic. The longer I observe you, the more I understand how your powers disrupt my people." He smirked. "Powers? You mean the memes? They're not really a power, just a side effect of my genius." "Genius?" she repeated, incredulous. "Okay, maybe genius is a stretch," he admitted. "But you've gotta admit, they're effective. I mean, you're here instead of, I don't know, vaporizing me with your fancy gadgets." She folded her arms. "That's because I haven't decided if you're worth vaporizing yet." Before Dave could respond, the holographic projection on his wristband flickered to life again. This time, it displayed a bizarre image of a green alien doing an awkward dance, accompanied by the caption, *. "When the hive mind has no rhythm." *. Talindra's eyes widened. "Turn that off." "Why?" "It's funny," Dave said, grinning. "That's not just an image," she hissed. "That's an exact likeness of our hive chancellor. If this spreads..." Too late. The projection expanded, its signal bouncing off satellites and into the far reaches of space. Within seconds, Talindra's communicator buzzed with frantic alerts. She glanced down and groaned. "The Hive Council is already in chaos," she muttered. "This image will destabilize everything." Dave shrugged. "Sounds like they need to lighten up." Her communicator buzzed again, this time with a message from Commander Zygrel. Reluctantly, she answered. "Talindra!" Zygrel barked. "What have you done?" "Nothing," she said quickly. "The human's device. The Chancellor is demanding your immediate execution." Zygrel interrupted. "Do you understand the magnitude of this disaster?" "Yes, Commander," she said through gritted teeth. "I will resolve it." Zygrel's image disappeared, and she turned to Dave, who was now trying to balance the rubber chicken on his head. "Do you take anything seriously?" she demanded. "Not really," he said, the chicken falling to the floor. "Life's short. Why waste it being miserable?" She stared at him, her frustration mingling with something she couldn't quite name. Despite everything, there was a strange logic to his chaos, a freedom she'd never known. Before she could reply, the room was bathed in red light. Talindra's ship's alarm system blared, and her communicator buzzed with an urgent alert. "What now?" Dave asked, squinting at the flashing lights. She checked her communicator, her expression darkening. "Incoming bounty hunters. They must have intercepted the Hive Council's distress signal." "Bounty hunters?" Dave said, his voice tinged with excitement. "Like actual space bounty hunters? This is gonna be awesome." "This is not awesome," Talindra snapped, pulling her plasma dagger from her belt. "They'll kill us both." "Us?" Dave said, raising an eyebrow. "You're worried about me." "I'm worried about the galaxy," she shot back. "If they capture you and weaponize your memes, the consequences would be catastrophic." He grinned. "Ah, you do care. Shut up and follow me," she ordered, heading for the back door. They barely made it outside before a sleek, alien ship descended, its engines humming ominously. 2 bounty hunters emerged, their metallic suits glinting in the moonlight. "Talindra," one of them said, his voice cold and mechanical. "Step aside. The human is ours." "Over my dead body," she replied, activating her plasma dagger. "That can be arranged," the bounty hunter said, raising his weapon. Before he could fire, Dave sneezed, loud and abrupt. The wristband flared to life, projecting a massive hologram of the bounty hunter's face, distorted into a grotesque caricature with bulging eyes and an oversized nose. The caption read, asterisk, "When you're all bounty, no brains." Asterisk. The bounty hunters hesitated, their confusion evident. One of them glanced at his partner. "What is this?" "It's a distraction," Talindra said, taking advantage of their confusion to disarm the closest hunter with a swift strike. Dave watched in awe as she moved with precision, incapacitating both hunters within moments. "Wow," he said. "You're like a space ninja." She turned to him, breathing heavily. "This isn't a game, Dave. More will come. Your memes are a threat to everyone, including yourself." "Yeah, but they're funny," he said, grinning. She sighed, dragging a hand down her face. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but we need to leave Earth. It's the only way to keep you, and the galaxy, safe." "Leave Earth?" he repeated. "Like on your spaceship?" "Yes," she said. "And if you make one joke about probing, I'll reconsider vaporizing you." Dave held up his hands in mock surrender. "No probing jokes." "Got it." As they headed toward her ship, he couldn't help but smile. "You know," he said, "this might actually be kinda fun." Talindra shot him a look but said nothing, secretly wondering if fun was something she might finally understand. The interior of Talindra's ship was a stark contrast to Dave's chaotic apartment. Everything inside was sleek, metallic, and precisely ordered, nothing out of place. Talindra stood at the control panel, adjusting coordinates while Dave sat in the corner, idly scrolling through his phone. He had no idea how to operate the advanced tech, but that wasn't stopping him from trying to entertain himself. "Hey, Talindra," he called, still absorbed in his phone. "How come your ship doesn't have a Wi-Fi password?" She glanced over, clearly irritated. "It is not designed for leisure." "I notice," Dave muttered. "No memes, no snacks, no Wi-Fi. What do you even do for fun around here? Battle space demons?" Talindra didn't look up. "I eliminate threats. It's my purpose." "Yeah, but what about after work?" he pressed, not letting up. "Like, when you're off the clock? You get a Netflix account? Watch a few rom-coms to wind down." "I do not watch romantic comedies," she replied, her tone clipped. "Shame," Dave said, scrolling past a video of a cat playing piano. "Romantic comedies are great. Nothing like some unrealistic meet-cute to make you feel good about your life choices." "You are incredibly annoying," Talindra muttered, but there was a slight softness to her voice that Dave noticed. "You know," he said, leaning back in his seat, "if you ever need help figuring out your off time, I could teach you. I'm kind of a Netflix expert." Her gaze flickered briefly to him, but she didn't respond. The ship hummed, shifting through space as the stars streaked by. For a moment, there was an uncomfortable silence before Dave broke it again. Seriously, though, he said, setting his phone down. You've been killing people for what, centuries? Maybe you need a hobby. Memes are not a hobby, she shot back. Yeah, but they sure are effective, he said with a grin. You've got the whole galaxy freaking out because of one silly picture. If you really wanted to go viral, you'd be better off using my device. You know, spread a few more jokes. She didn't answer at first, fingers still tapping on the controls. But something about his casual suggestion struck her as strange. Why hadn't she thought of that? Her entire species was obsessed with control, with precision. What if their strength was actually their greatest weakness? Could humor be a weapon? The idea gnawed at her. We don't need your memes, she finally said, though the conviction in her voice was weakening. My species thrives on structure. On order. Dave raised an eyebrow. Sure, but no one thrives on order all the time. It's like eating the same meal every day, it gets old. I mean, what do you do when there's no war to fight or assassinations to carry out? What then? Talindra turned her back to him, her voice quiet now. I don't know. For the first time, Dave sensed a real crack in her armor. He leaned forward, his tone more sincere than before. You've never been out of the loop, have you? No long weekends, no binge-watching a dumb reality show with friends, nothing but missions and battles. She stiffened, but didn't say anything. You're not a robot, you know, he added. Even robots need a break sometimes. She turned back to face him, her expression unreadable. And what do you propose? Dave grinned. Well, I'm not saying you have to quit being an assassin. But how about a little fun? You could use it. I'm sure I could teach you a few things about relaxing, and in return, you could show me how to blow things up with that cool dagger of yours. Talindra's eyes narrowed. I can't just let my guard down, Dave. This isn't a game. I'm not saying it is, he replied, raising his hands in mock defense. But hey, you've got to admit, you've been running on autopilot for way too long. What's it gonna hurt to have some fun first? Talindra stared at him for a moment, her mind churning. The last few days had been a whirlwind, meeting him, watching him effortlessly break every rule of order she held dear, yet somehow, he hadn't broken her. Instead, his chaotic behavior had disrupted something deep inside her, like a crack in the glass she hadn't known existed. Finally, she let out a long breath. Fine. Show me how to relax, then. Dave's eyes lit up. Deal. Don't expect any tender moments, she added, with a hint of a smirk. Dave laughed. Yeah, no rom-com stuff. I'll start you off easy. A few hours later, they were on the ship's deck, Dave attempting to teach her how to play an Earth card game called Go Fish. It was laughably simple, but Talindra found herself actually engaged in the process. Do you have any? Dave began, holding up a hand, but she cut him off. Do you really think I would have a Go Fish card? She asked dryly. Dave grinned. Well, I was gonna say sevens, but I'm pretty sure you're not that predictable. I'm not predictable at all, she said, collecting her cards. But I do not have any sevens. Dave chuckled. All right, your turn then. Ask away. It was absurd. She'd never imagined herself playing a card game with a human on an alien spaceship. But as the game wore on, something started to shift. The tension that had defined their relationship began to melt away. Maybe it wasn't about war, or missions, or even the galaxy. Maybe it was just about two beings sharing a moment of silliness. And for the first time in ages, Talindra found herself laughing. It wasn't forced or strategic, it was genuine. She looked at Dave, whose grin was infectious, and realized that maybe, just maybe, her world had room for more than just order. As she leaned back, looking out at the stars, she allowed herself to smile. Maybe it wasn't such a bad thing, this strange partnership with the meme-making human. And maybe, just maybe, her species could learn to thrive on something a little less predictable. She looked at Dave. You win. For now. Only for now? he asked, eyes sparkling. Only for now, she confirmed, her tone playful. Good, he said, leaning back with a sigh. Because I think we're just getting started. And for the first time in a long while, Talindra felt like she might be ready for whatever came next.